Hello, welcome to Dwarf Fortress. I need to turn on the music and the sound because for some reason people don't like staring at dead silence. So there we go. All right, done. And we are going to create a new world. I'm going to set up the world gen and then I'm going to come back in just a second. So I'm going to do large world, very low civilizations, very low sites, maximum beasts, maximum savagery, and we're gonna do rare minerals because we can't play on easy mode. Easy mode is for wimplings. You see why I was stepping away for a minute. It's still going. It'll be done in a few minutes. All right, looks like we have our world. So let's do play now and bring us in. This game has gotten a lot better at generating the world for us. Way back when I first started playing, if you wanted to play on a world this big, you set up your computer and then told it to run, and then you came back like 3 days later, and it would have the. And we're gonna skip the tutorial because I have 5,000 hours in this game, and hopefully I know what I'm doing. But anyway, so you would come around in 3 days, and you'd have the world. So we want a 3x3 square. We want untamed wilds. We want medium elevation, medium temperature, medium rain, medium drainage, flux stone, no aquifer, no aquifer. We will take a river, and we will take at least some soil. And I'm going to go ahead and ask for iron. If we don't find iron, I may rerun this without iron. So we are searching now. And see, if I was a prepared streamer, I would have done all this before I started. All right, so my dad is here, and he's wanting to know how subscribing on YouTube works. So I'm going to walk him through that, and the rest of you can take this as a time to subscribe. None of you that are watching besides him. Anyway, so if you go down under the stream and on the right hand side, there will be a button that says subscribe. When you click that, then it will turn into a little bell. And when you click on the little bell, there's a drop down menu. And if you pick, I believe it's all, then it will give you a notification on your phone whenever I go live. So my dad's texting me, or teach him how to use YouTube chat. And he's got to come up with a screen name and all that, but he's texting me right now, so we'll see if my instructions were sufficient or if I need to explain it better. So I'm not even looking at it. I'm just trying to explain how it works from memory. So I probably got something wrong. So we're waiting for his response, and we're waiting for it to find somewhere for me to camp out. So far, it's searched 215. Well, it's moving pretty fast, but out of 289, and it doesn't look like it's found anything I'm looking for. So I probably asked for too much with having minerals on rare. But I don't want to play easy mode and just have iron. You know, gotta trade and earn iron, right? That's how it real works. We just forge here. We don't mine. Mining is for lesser dwarves. Real dwarves build castles out of rock and then live on the surface. Oh, there's some spots with iron. Look at that. All right. So we are going to pick somewhere on here. So what I like to do is I like to look at the cliff/grade and look for something that's got a so we have the cliff/grade here. So it looks like right here, shrink this down. Like right here has like a waterfall. And it says it has everything we need to start. It's not one of the recommended spots, but I like to have the cliff. See, you have the cliff right there. So that way I can build into the cliff like, you know, a real dwarf instead of just digging down in the dirt. And it says you have selected a savage area. The wildlife might be very dangerous here. Well, don't worry. Everyone's going to die gloriously for me. All right, so enemies should be hard. The economy doesn't exist yet, but I'll turn it to hard. And then I have already prepared a profile for what I want, so that way I don't have to do that. And then, all right, my dad says he managed to follow my instructions that I came up with blind. So hopefully tomorrow we'll see if the notification bell comes on for him and anybody else who might watch this later or be watching that I'm not aware of. All right, so we got to name our settlement here. So I'm going to name it. It's the bar. We're building the bar. And then our group. I wonder if bartender's a word that we can get. No bartender there. We can do barricaded. No bartender. Let's try tavern. AV. Dwarves apparently don't have a word for tavern. Let's do. We're the nobles. Or we're of nobles. We're the noble of nobles. Because there's no noblest in Dwarven apparently, so that works. And then our symbol. So, and that was me getting kicked off and back on. I'll give it a second to reconnect. There are almost no supplies left, but with the stout labor comes sustenance, whether by bolt, plow, or hook, provide for your dwarves. You are expecting a supply caravan just before winter entombs you, but it is spring now. Enough time to delve secure lodgings ere the wolfmen get hungry. Ooh, we don't have wolves, we have wolfmen. That's good. I love it when my, large predatory mammal has opposable thumbs. Alright, so we're going to look around here. So we've got this creek that just goes straight back into the mountain. Oh, there's hematite, which is iron. So we have the iron right there. It looks like we have some shale. And I bet hostiles are going to come down here, so I'll probably have to figure out a way to wall that off. But it looks like we just have nothing too exciting for a cliff here. And then we go down here to the ground level back where our dwarves are. We've got trees, got our nice brook. Looks like we have clay loam here. So what I kind of want to do is go back. I don't really want to. I was thinking about just building my town off the side of the brook here, so you have to walk down the brook to get there, because it's not the water's not very deep. You can walk on top of it. But I think I'm going to build my city here and then go down So the first thing we need to get mining going. So I always bring enough picks for everybody but one guy to have a pick. So I always go to tasks. No, it's not tasks. It's labor. Go to labor, and I pick everybody but the woodcutter to do that. And then I turn off fishing because dwarves will wander around on the surface trying to fish, and then bad things will happen to them when bad guys come to say hello. So I just turn that off, and like, nobody does that, just as an extra insurance. Next, we're going to want to dig out our first home, our first area home here. So I'm going to zoom in a little. And we need to, so if you click this little arrow down here, show advanced options, it lets you set a priority. So I'm going to set this to priority 1, so that way they won't do anything besides this first, because we need to, have a home. And that's 5x5. So I always build things in either 5x5. Oh, it has a new addition. That's cool. It has tells you how big it is. Oh, that makes my life so much easier. So I always do 5x5s. And so what I do here is I have a 5x5. So this will be our first drawbridge. This will be our trade depot. And then this next one will be a series of traps that enemies have to walk over to get in. So that way they can't just rush in through the trade depot and get into my fortress. Later I'll build another area that will have a long, skinny path that will be filled with traps. And then I build an 11x11 area here, so that way we can store all our starting stuff and get everything moved underground before we have problems with thieves. I do like to remove this, so that way I can have doors. Because if you have a lot of well-crafted doors, it makes your dwarves happy. Try to say that 3 times fast. And the dwarves do a friend or foe check on every time they see somebody. So it's not really a problem early in the game, but later in the game it starts to lug everything down when your dwarf has to check if he's got an enemy or not. You might hear my dog drinking in the background. So in order to prevent them from potentially treating, having to check to see if everybody's hostile around them, I will do that. And then the other thing I like to do is to build up by 1 level. And eventually I'll dig all this out and build like an open air fortress area here, so that way the dwarves can get some sunlight. Because if they don't get sunlight, they get vomity. And we don't want them to get vomity. It's just gross. So I think I need to designate some trees for chopping. And then we can get started. And it looks like we have, no, that's Grinko. I was going to say, it looks like we have high wood, but that's not high wood. It's this Grinko. I don't know what Grinko is. I've never heard of it before. I played Dwarf Fortress and I never really looked it up. I think it's a fruit tree of some kind, because it has Grinko fruit, right? Well, there's none right now because it's spring, not fall. But that should be enough to keep him busy. I like willow too. Willow is one of my favorite woods in this game, because it always grows right next to the water. So I like to cut it down and make sure that it doesn't block paths for wagons. Although in this case, I don't think the wagon's not going to have any problems getting down the river. So we're going to unpause, and now we just kind of sit back and watch as the dwarves dig out their new home. So one of the things I like about Dwarf Fortress is it doesn't have a fast forward button, because I tend to get myself into trouble if I'm using the fast forward button. I'll sit there and just go max speed, and then like, oh, why did everybody starve to death? Well, everybody starved to death because you weren't planting crops, you idiot Nemo. You need to grow crops. Also, I'm not sure why, but the audio is not being picked up for the desktop. Huh. Give me just a second. Oh, I've got my audio configured wrong. Because I'm a professional streamer and I do this and I'm great at this. Not sure if that fixed it or not. No, it doesn't seem to have fixed it. I think I may have to restart the program if I want to fix that. So let's do it like this. Properties. And do that. Tell me, see if it works. No, not that one. I have two identical monitors that both have speakers, so figuring out which one is a pain. Because it doesn't have monitor 1 or monitor 2, it just has the exact same name. Well, that's a problem. Alright, well, I guess we're going to have to just deal with just having the sound of my voice being the only thing. So the next step, we take a stockpile and we paint down this area here. And then we want to put ammo, animals, whoops. We'll have to do custom, that's what it is. So we do all, and then we'll go through and turn off. We don't want to turn on gems because those are already underground, so we do none. And then stone, we don't want to do because that's already underground. And then we'll build a separate stockpile for wood later. And we don't want corpses or refuse because they stink. And that should move everything inside. So now we unpause and the dwarf should start moving everything. And then the next thing we want to do is establish a pin. So I always do 2 pins at the start, one for non-grazing animals, which is inside. And so then we're going to move all my pigs and turkeys inside. Move my puppies. I always take puppies and kittens because it delays the problems. And then we're going to need to move one outside here. Stop showing me that. So we do a pin, and then I just do 11 by 11 here. And then we can put our yaks. Now sometimes we are blessed and we get 2 animals of the same animal that are different genders, but in this case it gave us 2 of the same animals that are the same gender, which I actually kind of wonder what the odds of that are. We'd have to work it out of how many domesticated animals there are that can pull wagons and all of that. And then I'm going to remove this ramp here because I don't like ramps. So the dwarf miners will run up and rip down those dirt ramps. That'll save us some problems later. Oh, I made a mistake. I needed to cut down these 2 trees here before I dug, because what's going to happen now is that the roof is going to open up where the trees were when I cut them down. Oh well, it's just over our soon-to-be trapdoor, our soon-to-be drawbridge, so it's not that big of an issue. So the wagon has still got a single bag of seeds in it. Hopefully somebody will move that soon. Yep, there we go. And then we're going to disassemble that. And our carpenter should take care of that. So now we want to build a stairwell down. So I usually go 5 down here. But I think I'm going to go 10 this time down and see what we get. Because that's still elevation 35. And I don't think the caverns show up until elevation 0. Past elevation 0. So we should have plenty of room to build. Looks like we have sand, clay, loam. I don't know if you could use that as regular clay. And then we get down to the shale. And we got rock salt. And hematite. Oh, that's our iron ore right there. So we'll be good on that. So I think I'm going to go ahead and build a... see what we can do. Oh, I hear Wolfman. Looks like an 11 by 11 would be a problem here. We have to build a wall. So what I'm going to do is build... So you guys can't hear the Wolfman because I'm good at this and I managed to make it work correctly. So I'm going to build... we'll just use a couple of these Grinko wood here. That way we'll have a solid wall around our base, and we won't have to worry about people coming for a visit without permission. And then I'm going to store wood logs and build a carpenter's thing here, so we can get started on our carpentry work. Because dwarves get cranky if they don't have beds, chairs, and tables. I don't know why. Used to go camping all the time. I never had any of those. I didn't get cranky. So we need workshops, a carpentry workshop. That will go right there. We'll just use a piece of shale because that's what's closest. And then we're going to create a stockpile. And accept. We're going to put wood there. So now the dwarves will start carrying wood in. And then we want to create, need 2 chairs for the offices. So we have to have managers and bookkeeper. No, I need one of each. And they need offices. So the managers will allow us to queue up tasks without having to visit each individual workstation and queue up a task. And the bookkeeper will tell us if we're about to starve to death or not. Speaking of starving to death, I'm going to go ahead and do 2 5x5 rooms here. And then I'm going to connect them with a single door. And I'm going to put crops in there so we don't starve to death. So they'll plant food and harvest food automatically. You just have to basically queue up. Hey, be doing this. Oh, and the wolfmen are howling at us again. Speaking of wolfmen, we want to build our fortifications before they do come to visit. So I'm going to build a channel here, and then this will allow me to build a bridge across. And then the other thing I do is build 3 channels here, here, here. And that will make people have to walk down this path once I've cleared out the ramps that form from the channels. And then I could flood it with water from the brook, and we'll have ourselves a nice little quasi-moat that will stop people from coming for a visit. So then we're going to go back down here to our level 35. We're going to dig out. I'm going to change the priority so we focus on the surface first. We're going to dig out an 11 by 11 hole. And then behind that 11 by 11 hole, nope, wrong spot. So I like to build in like a spiral shape. So we want to put the 5 by 5, let's see, so the next 11 by 11 would go here. And then one would go here. Nope, see, I did that wrong. That's why I planned it out first. So we can race. So the 11 by 11 goes here. And one goes here, and one goes here. And then we can build offices off the sides here, here, and we can have smaller workshops. And that was my dog. He's very excited because he smells kitties somewhere, but he can't find them because they're hiding from him because they don't like to be chewed on for some reason. So then to dig out the first spot, we're going to do that. And then the second spot will be there. There. And now they only have access to this one spot, so they'll only dig it out first. And then I can just build doors to mine out the rest of it. But we only want this one done first, so then we can put down our room, our offices. And then I'm going to need 2 wooden doors. And 2 wooden hatches. Oops. Hatch starts with H, not with G. And that will give us the hatches that will go over this hole here. And we need to pause. Then our next step, because we want to focus on the surface first, so we want a 1 here. So dig out that, dig out that, and we want to dig out this here. And then we want to remove ramps. except I don't want to remove these ramps yet. So the dwarves will still be able to walk down these ramps to get into the base. We need to take a straight hole there so that way they have a walkway. So the dwarves will still be able to walk down the ramp and get into the base until we finish building the bridge up at top. So now we can do constructions, bridge, and we want it to open upwards because we're building our base that way. And I'll do this. And let's have a oak log bridge. And while I'm thinking about it, let's add a depot so we can trade when the caravan shows up. And let's do maple. Maple's a nice wood. And then they should be done down here, or at least dug out enough that we can do this. So I want to build a workshop. So we need a mechanic, and he'll go right here. And we're going to do rock salt because it's right there. And then we can do a, where's the stone worker? They changed the name of that shop. It used to be a mason shop. It still throws me off. All right, so that'll give us a stone worker and a mechanic shop. And then we can start building levers and things so we can make the bridge actually like fold up when we pull the lever. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a priority 1 dig here. Move this. And whoops, I need to do a channel. So I remove these two and replace them with hatches, and then I'll put a trap door in front of the hatch, and each hatch will only open if a non-citizen walks across it. So somebody who's not supposed to be in the fortress tries to access the fortress, the hatch folds up, and now there's a gap between them and the rest of the fortress. And that will keep the fortress relatively safe, at least safer than it would be if there was a giant open walkway that anybody could just come in. There are some creatures that will avoid the workshop, or not the workshop, the pressure plates, so you still need to have some kind of, protection. But usually they're like a single unarmored goblin, and he's there either to steal your stuff or kidnap your children. So I usually keep the children away from there. We got 2 maple doors. Go right there, and then we're going to go ahead and do 2 tables, and now we can keep building after placement so I don't have to go into the menu again and again and again. Do that there, and then let's do chairs. 1 chair here, and 1 chair here. Then we can go to this, which lets us place zones. And we want to do offices. Offices right there. And then do multi, so that way you only have to do it once. And then if you just cover both of them, it will say 2 offices created. Done. Now we can go down here to the nobles and administrators menu. And a little pop-up will come up explaining it. But I don't need it because I know what I'm doing. And so we'll go to manager. And I always try to assign my metalsmith because he usually is not doing anything until much later. And then the bookkeeper, I usually do my gem setter because, again, he's not doing much until later. And then I will go here, open up this menu so I can assign them places. So we have a manager, and he needs that. And then we have a bookkeeper, and he needs that. My dog is currently stomping in a box of envelopes. I don't know why he's stomping in the box of envelopes. He probably wants attention. But he can wait another 30 minutes because I am trying to start my streaming career again. You noisy little thing. I'm going to have to start leaving you outside. Or sending you over to Grandpa's. Maybe I'll just ship you over to Grandpa's. Yeah, you can hang out with Grandpa? You'd like that, wouldn't you? Yeah, he's looking at me because I said Grandpa. He likes his grandpa, who's my dad. That's how I refer to him, because that's the only grandchildren my dad's ever getting. So he's not happy about that. All right, so now we've got this all dug out. We've got our mechanics. We've got our offices. So we need to go into the menu, which allows us to do work orders. So we have work orders. We're going to add a new work order, and we're going to make mechanism, which is what they call the things you need. So we should have, oh, I forgot, you have to do it. Rock mechanisms. There it goes. And I always like to do, so in the old days of Dwarf Fortress, you could only do up to 30 on work orders. Now I think you could do infinity, but I have it, I do 30s. So everything is 30s. And then we have that done. So now the mechanic will automatically come in and start making those until there's 30 of them. And then we're going to do rock table. So this lets us pick, it's a feature that's new relatively to Dwarf Fortress, but it lets us pick what kind of rock. So I don't want chalk tables, so I'm going to do rock salt tables. I'm not sure that's any better. I suspect if you spill something on rock salt, it'll probably dissolve. But through the magic of Dwarf Fortress, we don't have to care. Rock chair. Oh no, it's thrones. They're thrones if they're made of rock, and chairs if they're made of wood. I'm not sure that's really true, but I'm also not going to ask any questions. And so we have rock salt again. So we're going to need more rock salt. So I'm going to open up these new rooms here, because we'll be filling them later with like a kitchen and all those other things we consider to be necessities. So there you go. The dwarves will mine. We'll get rock salt. We'll make mechanisms. Looks like we have tetrahedrite. Oh, silver and copper. So there's some things you could do to abuse that and make full copper or full silver ingots out of it. I don't remember exactly how it works. I'd have to look on the wiki again. But basically you could tell it to use this as a ore of silver and combine it with something, and then it will be 100% silver as opposed to being only occasionally silver. All right, so we have, we've hit summer, so we got a wall here, so we don't have to worry about intruders. And then looks like they are filled up on this, so we should probably have started planting. In my experience, it's not really necessary to start planting until the second year if you bring food like I do, but it's better to have it, because then once you set it up, you don't have to think about it. But if you forget to set it up, everybody dies. So we're going to build one here and one here. And that will be enough for feeding our dwarves for now. Eventually we'll build more and it'll be fancy and we'll have all different kinds, and maybe I'll build a greenhouse and grow strawberries or whatever the local equivalent of strawberries is. I always like to grow those. So also, because we now have our bridge built, we can remove this ramp here, and then we can start. So actually what I want to do is dig channels one more deeper in all of these spots. Actually, no, we don't want to do that yet. Erase that. I'll do that next. I'm going to build a wall in between each one of these so that way things can't come through. So we're going to build wall here, and we'll use some shale. And then when that's done, I'll have to build the next wall. Because if you don't do it that way, they're too stupid to figure it out, and they'll wall themselves in. Well, what'll happen is one dwarf will come and work on this wall, and then the next dwarf will come and work on this wall before this guy's done, and then this guy will stand in here and be like, "Oh, I'm stuck. Why am I stuck? I don't understand." And he'll starve to death because he's too stupid to just disassemble a wall and go eat. So we're gonna have to wait for a bit for that one to be built. I think everybody's probably in here digging. Yep. Oh, we should be able to build. So, at the risk of queuing up too much and then having to wait too long for things to get done, I'm going to build a lever here. So if we get invaded, the bad guys don't come visit. And then I'm going to do another one. It'll be cages and traps. No, traps. And then we do a pressure plate. We only want creatures trigger, but citizens do not. And we'll put one here. And creatures trigger, but citizens do not. Put one here. And there. And then once those are installed, we can click on them and do link plate. Link it there. And then link plate. Whoop. Link plate. Link. That's weird. Link. Why? Oh, because it's not installed yet, is it? No, it looks installed. Oh, there it worked. There we go. I wonder why it wasn't letting me click on that. And then we will link the lever. Oh, nope, we're out of mechanisms. We've got to wait. While we're waiting, we can do, I'm going to do plump helmets, plump helmets, plump helmets, and plump helmets. And then I like to do cave wheat, sweet pods, and then we do another thing of cave wheat and plump helmets. And so then this one, basically they make the for food, and the crops in the next one will be turned into alcohol. Makes dwarves happy. They get upset if they don't drink. Isn't it right? There's an ongoing theory that booze is that dwarves are like reverse alcoholics of some kind. So like if they don't drink, they get the same kind of symptoms that a heavy alcoholic would get in real life, right? So like their liver is somehow dependent on the alcohol. Although they don't die of not having alcohol. They just get very grumpy and start killing each other. So technically somebody dies when they run out of alcohol, just not the guy who ran out of alcohol. Alright, so now we can build another wall here because we've got that going. So I'm going to build the shale. And let's build another workshop. We can build crafts workshop. And we will use a bit of rock salt. And then I'm going to go into the jobs here and do rock die. So I like to make rock dies, and then if you change this to a 0, instead of 0 it will be infinity. So basically they're just going to turn all the available rocks into rock die as they craft dwarves have time. And then what I do with those is I sell them in exchange for food. So essentially I'm like a tacky tourist trap. I would sell playing cards and other gambling paraphernalia, but I don't think they existed yet. So, no playing cards and other gambling paraphernalia yet. Oh, you see the dwarves hard at work planting so we don't all starve to death. And you can see the cats have been busy hunting things. You can see lizard remains and roach remains and all kinds of things. They're keeping them out of our food. So, it's always helpful to bring some cats along, even though later you run into problems where they cats get too many cats, and then you have they call it a cat explosion, but then you can't play the game anymore because the game doesn't work. And my dog is chewing on something. I hope it's something he's supposed to be chewing on. Hang on, I'll be right back. He's a good boy. He's got a bone. He's supposed to have bones. Bones are good. So, one of the other problems that I have is people like to steal your anvil because it's big and heavy, but for some reason, like monkeys can carry it off and it's valuable. So I'm going to put workshop metalsmith, and the metalsmith is going to go right there with the iron anvil and some rock salt. And then that way the anvil will be part of a building as opposed to being part of just being sitting in the trade inventory. And then I can't walk off with a building. Then I'm going to go here and I'm going to link the lever to the bridge. There we go. So now they'll link that bridge up. So at least we can close ourselves off if we get attacked by something mean. So normally I stream for an hour, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stream until the second year starts. So I'll have each episode will be a year. So they're just kind of minding away over here, minding their own business. Ha ha ha. Ha. Puns. Now I wish they would have. Wonder why. I would think a 4 would be low enough that they would prioritize building the wall over building the thing. But got messages over here. I always forget about these. There's a giant bird eating my oxen. Yeah. That's a problem. See, that's why there's hostile monsters here. Probably should build two more wooden doors so we can put those up and keep the giant birds out. And while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go down here and build workshop farming. So we should have a butcher. Butcher. So the butcher goes there. And we'll do rock salt. And see, we can make salt cubes. That's what we're doing. They're not dice. They're salt cubes. Or like, the visitors to put in things. Right? We're literally selling them salts, which in the ancient world was an incredibly valuable commodity to the point where they paid their armies with it. All right, and then we need a tanner, so that will be farming and tanner. So we do that and rock salt, because I'd rather have salty food than chalky food. Then we're going to put a pile up here, and that pile be 11 by 11, because everything must be either 5 by 5 or 11 by 11. And then we're going to make it corpses and refuse. So now we can go into the menu with the animals, pets and livestock, and we can slaughter. Yep, there we go. So that will turn the yaks into food, our meat, and then we have to turn them into food via kitchen. So let's build that while we're here. Is that under farming? Yeah, there it is, kitchen. So we'll build a kitchen, rock salt, and farming, find a still. There's the still. And we're gonna make it out of rock salt, because who doesn't want salty beer? So eventually the dwarves will drag the creatures down here, and they'll kill them and cut them up, and then they'll take the bits over here and they'll can hide, and then they'll put the remainder in the stockpile up there for being turned into food later. And the stockpile's starting to get a little full, so what we can do is we can create bins, which will allow us to store like items in a single spot. So we want a wooden bin, and we're going to do 10 of those. And then the last thing that's important, I am going to build a meeting room. We should have dining hall right there. So this will be our dining hall, which we want to paint, not multi. And accept. And then the dwarves will come in there and eat. So we need to give them some tables. So I like to do table, 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 and then a two space table, 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 and table. And then we need chair. So we do a chair, 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 a chair, and then a chair, and a chair, and a chair, and a chair, and a chair. And then that way they don't, get confused as to which table belongs to which chair. Because sometimes they'll try to eat at the same table as somebody else is already eating at it, and then get mad because they didn't have a table. And it's like, dude, there were 20 open tables in that room, and you picked the one that wasn't open. This will prevent them from doing that. So, looks like our farm needs to be harvested. So, later when we have children, that's what they'll do. But we don't have any children right now, so let's go ahead and put up doors here, and that should help keep the wildlife from harassing us. So it looks like we got some migrants, and it looks like we killed one of the bulls. And then, yeah, we've got people fighting falcons and needing water. Are we really out of drink? No, we're not out of drink. So, yeah, we're fighting nature. Nature is not fun. We don't like to fight nature. So, oh, good. They're almost done with the walls here, too. So, we'll use the slate for something. So, we'll go ahead and build a... Then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here. I'm going to do dig. We want to dig ramps up. So, each one of these will be a ramp up. That. And then dig, and then dig. And so now they'll dig a ramp up on each one of these, and then that way the bad guys, when they fall in, will fall farther. So I'm going to go down one more after this, so then that way it will be rock, and I can smooth the walls to make it harder to climb. Because they added climbing in this game, and it made my life miserable, because it used to be you could just build like a square wall out here with like a spot for the caravan to come through, and then you wouldn't have any problems. But now you have problems. Uh-oh, people are dying. That's not good. My metalsmith died. Sounds like he got attacked by something. Oh, we have a new expedition leader. Oh, everybody died. The giant rocks came and killed us all. Our giant peregrine, the peach-faced lovebirds. Well, I think that's the end of this fort. We lost half our population. It's not going great. So we have the peach-faced lovebird is murdering everyone, including our animals now. Oh, well, this is embarrassing. We're down to 5 people. Huh. Who would have thought that it would be peach-faced lovebirds that killed us all? I kind of expected them to not kill us that quickly. But you know what my mistake was? Here's what my mistake was. I dug out this hole. See, they came in through here because they're birds. So they came down through here and flew up and then started killing everybody. All right, well, I believe that will be the end of this episode and the end of this fort. We're ending 10 minutes early, but I'm going to start over from here. Yes, technically you can continue. I could, recover from this. But, yeah, I found another dead guy. I don't know. It's not really any incentive to not start over, right? Like, we can just start a new game next week that's not filled with corpses because I made a mistake. You'd think after 5,000 hours I would learn not to make mistakes like that. And then, by this point, I would have had... So what I should have done is I should have got a forge up and gotten at least one guy with a sword or something that could fight those rocks. So, our peach-faced lovebirds. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. So I will see you guys in the next episode. Preferably when I fix the audio.